things this year for you. I'm really excited for you, and I'm excited for this year. So I thought that we would kick off 2024 with a video about what I learned in 2023. I could have a really long list, but I only wrote like 15, 16 things down, so that I don't keep you here all day. But I thought I would share it with you. So this is something very similar to what I do every year on my birthday, where I give you a list of how many things I learned according to that birthday. So 27 things I learned in 27 years, for example. I've done a couple of those. So this is going to be very similar format. Before we get started though, it is a fresh chapter, it's a new beginning, and so I want to remind you guys, or maybe inform some of you for the first time, of other ways that you can find other content from me other than just my 2 ASMR videos a week here on this channel. One, I have a Patreon. It is $3 a month. I only have one tier, and you get 3 extra videos from me every single month that are never posted here on YouTube. You will get one day in the life vlog, one lo-fi life update at the end of every month, and those are much more personal than they will ever be here on YouTube. And then you get one miscellaneous video of whatever I feel like making that month. So that is going on every month on Patreon. I also have a second channel. It is more vlog style. I have a podcast series as well over there called The Walk, where I just kind of share whatever's on my mind, and that is non-ASMR, and it's just more about like what's actually going on in my life. And so that channel has no like posting schedule. It's kind of just whenever I feel like it, but I try to get a couple videos out a month. And I have really found my love again of using that channel. I've had that channel for years, but 2023 was the year that I really started like falling in love with creating content on there. So those are just a couple of other ways you can find me. I'm also on Instagram. I am just Sam on YouTube, Sam_on_YT, and I am on TikTok as well. So all of that is in the description box for you down below. But I am going to bring up my phone here, and I have my list of things that I learned in 2023. So let's just get into it, shall we? And there's no order to this list. I have been working on the list for a couple weeks now, actually. So this is just the order in which these ideas came to my brain. So there's no rhyme or reason to the order, but let's just get started, shall we? So the very first thing I have on the list, we're really starting off strong here. The first thing on the list is just because a man is older than me does not mean he is more mature. And I would also say the reverse, that just because a man is younger than me, it does not mean he is more immature than I am. I have learned that age really is just a number. It depends on the person themselves, their mentality. You know, now that I'm 27, I'm getting a little older. It's different now. At this point, it really just depends on who you are as a person, whereas it's different when you're younger, and say I'm like 22 and he's 19. That's different, I think. But now that I'm getting older, at this point in my life, it really just depends on the person, their values, their goals, their mentality, their emotional state, it just depends on the person. I think everyone that I have dated this year has been older than me. It hasn't even been that many. Let me not act like it was like so many. But the few that I did go on dates with this year were all older. And not that they're bad people, but I just learned that just because they're older does not mean that they're more mature. So, and I'm sure that same goes for, men talking about women, but I can only talking about men. Okay. The next one is pretty self-explanatory, but the flags that you ignore at the beginning of a relationship are almost always the reasons why it doesn't work out, or part of the reasons why it doesn't work out. Again, pretty self-explanatory, and honestly, everyone has them. Everybody has something about themselves that somebody else could look at them and be like, I don't know about that. But the big ones, like, I'm not talking about like the beige flags, but like the big like red flags, the ones that you ignore, the ones that you choose to be like, but that could change one day, or oh, that's not really a big deal, even though it bothers you, it could come back to bite you in the butt one day. And then you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, well, that was dumb of me. So yeah, that was pretty self-explanatory, and that could not even just be for like a romantic relationship, it can be for a friendship too. The next one is pretty simple. It says forgiving someone is more for you than it is for the person that you're forgiving. I think it is even possible to forgive someone and not even ever tell them that you forgave them. It's more for you because the more you hold on to that resentment and that hurt, it's gonna keep that hurt alive in you longer, and you're gonna dwell on it. So you're actually doing yourself a favor by forgiving that person in your mind. And again, like I said, you don't ever have to tell them that you forgave them. And also, I would go as far as saying that forgiving is not the same as forgetting, or that they don't need to go hand in hand. You can forgive and not forget. And that's a different conversation, but yeah, I think forgiving somebody is more for you than it is for them. So, the next one, this one you've probably heard many times, and like, I feel like I always knew this one, but I don't know, I feel it more now, and as I'm getting older, it's better to have a small circle of people that really know you and see you than it is to have dozens and dozens of friends that don't. And I always think back to like college, when, you know, I was doing the thing, you would go out, you'd go to parties on the weekends and whatever, and you would have these friends that would be like your going out friends, but Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, you wouldn't even really like talk to them, or like they didn't know what was going on in your life, or they didn't care. You don't need it. I would rather have a small group of friends that really know me, know what's on my heart, know what's on my mind, know what makes me tick, know what makes me happy. I would rather have a few of those people than dozens and dozens of people that don't know me very well. Dozens and dozens of people that will invite me to parties or invite me to go out or whatever, but do they really care? Because those kinds of friends, when you're going through something, do they reach out to you? Do they check on you? Do they cheer for you when you succeed? Those are the things. And I have to give a shout out. She doesn't really watch my videos, but she knows about my channel. I don't think she watches, but my friend Marissa, when I went to Nashville with, like, that girl is such a blessing, and she has shown me the true meaning of friendship. Not to say that my other friends aren't true friends, they absolutely are, but Marissa is someone where, like, I could call her and tell her that I bought a new pencil, and she would be like, oh my god, what kind of pencil? Does it have an eraser? Is it yellow? Like, she would be so excited. That is a true friend, and that is who you want to surround yourself with. And I would take one of her than 500 of her that didn't actually care. You know what I mean? So that is the kind of friends that I strive to have in my life, and now I strive to be that kind of friend to other people because it inspires me to be a better friend. Getting older is cool. Okay. The next one, pretty self-explanatory. It is so important to nurture your family and your family friendships and your family relationships. You know, I think of my cousins and my sister as like built-in friends, you know. And even like my mom is my mom, but she's also a friend, you know. And it's really important, and of course it's different for everybody. I'm not going to be naive and say that I think everybody has this, because I know not everybody does. Not everybody is blessed in this way. But if you do have family in your life, really nurture those friendships, because if and when something ever happens and you lose, you know, your friends or whatever, it's your family that is going to be there for you. Again, not in every situation, but I can only speak for me, and I have learned that for me personally. Those are the people that I want to fall back on, and that I want to fall back on me if they need it, you know. So yeah, nurturing those relationships is really important. The next thing I learned is setbacks are setups for something better every time. I have learned that when something sets me back, or it doesn't go the way I thought it would, or the way that I hoped it would, I have learned to change my mentality and be like, okay, this didn't work out for a reason, because there's something better coming, there's something better on the way, there's something better suited for me than this thing was. So I truly think that, like, when you're going through something like that, where you just feel like you keep getting set back, it's setting you up for the thing that's actually meant for you. And once you start thinking that way, like, it just changes everything. Easier said than done sometimes, but it just changes everything. The next thing, growth and entering new chapters of life is so uncomfortable. It is so scary. It is a lot of times awkward, but it is so worth it. I have new friends now that a month, 2 months ago I didn't have, from a new church that I started going to, and I went into that church the first time. I didn't know a soul. I didn't know a single soul, and I would go and I would sit by myself. I wouldn't really talk to anybody. I'd go in, I'd listen to the service, and I'd leave. And then little by little I started involving myself in things. I would volunteer for things by myself, and a lot of times it was awkward, and I would stand there with no one to talk to, kind of unsure of what to do next, like waiting for somebody to tell me what to do next. And it's awkward and it's uncomfortable, especially when everybody around you already has their friendships and has their people, and you're just like, but you have to go through that to get to the other side. And like I said, I was volunteering, I was doing things, and little by little I started to meet people. And then when you meet people, you find the people you click with, and then when you click, then you become friends, and it just, you have to go through every stage to get to the good place. So growth and entering new chapters of life is really scary, uncomfortable. You're gonna second guess it. You're gonna be like, do I really want this? Do I really need to do this? Do I really want to put myself through this? But once you do, man, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. This is quite possibly my favorite one, and it says, you have not yet met everybody in this life that is going to love you. And I think that's so beautiful. You don't know everybody you're ever gonna know yet, so you don't know what friendships you're gonna have. You don't know what relationship you're gonna have one day. And I think that just gives you something to just look forward to, and I think it's really cool. The next one I wrote down says that trials and struggles usually mean that you are outgrowing where you are. If you find yourself really frustrated, if you find yourself maybe falling out of friendships or a relationship, or, you know, I don't know, whatever it could be, if you find yourself going through those trials you're ready for something new. And something, dare I say, better. The next one, I did learn this for myself, but I also learned this one from just observing the people around me, like entering into relationships and stuff. And I don't even know if this makes sense. I wrote, relationships should make you change, but in a good way, where you're becoming a better person. I guess I could have worded that better, but by that I basically mean that relationships are going to make you change. You may start listening to music that you didn't listen to before, or maybe saying some things that you haven't said before, and not bad things, but your person tends to rub off on you a little bit, especially when you're talking all the time and spending time together. And I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. I think it's actually a really beautiful thing, but it's just important to be conscious of how much you're changing and what are those changes producing in your life. Are they producing good things, good changes, or are you finding yourself in situations that are less than favorable? Is it making your life better or worse, essentially, is what I'm saying. For example, are you in a new relationship now where you find yourself drinking a lot more to the point where, like, it's unhealthy, or, causing a lot of fights, or, that's just an example, but it could literally be anything. It's important to look at the fruit of what the changes are producing. Am I making sense? So relationships should make you change. They should make you grow, but it's important to be conscious of, is it actually growth, or are they just not so great changes? Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't know. I observed that from someone that I know getting into a relationship, and I saw changes in them, and I was like, that wasn't there before, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. And it's not my place to judge, so I'm not judging, I'm just observing. I would never go to somebody and be like, I don't think you should be in that relationship, unless it's like something abusive or something like really extreme. That's different. But other than that, I think people just kind of have to learn on their own whether this relationship is for you or not. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I hope that makes sense. The next one is pretty self-explanatory. In this one, people probably have other opinions. This is just what I personally believe. I believe that God will not put you through something that you cannot handle. Doesn't mean he's not going to put you through things that are absolutely awful and absolutely painful. Because he might. I shouldn't say that. It's not coming from him. But that's what I'm saying, is bad things could still happen to you. But you'll never be given something that you can't handle. Does that make sense? I guess I could have worded that one better too. But God will not let you go into situations that you cannot handle. There we go. That's better. The next one is something I have observed, and this goes back to what friends root for you and cheer for you, and which ones do the opposite. When people are very unhappy with their lives, they may try to bring you down to their level because they want somebody to relate with them. They want somebody to be going through it with them so that they're not alone, because it can be lonely down there, and so they try to bring you down to their level. And you need to be conscious of people that do that. Not to say don't be their friend anymore, but sometimes you have to love those people at a distance a little bit, because I strive to be, even when I'm going through stuff, I strive to still cheer on my friends. I don't want them to be miserable with me, because that's not real friendship, and that means that I'm not rooting for them. So sometimes people will try to do that, and it's unfortunate and annoying, if I'm being honest, but I think you can still love those people, but you just might have to love them from afar a little bit. Doesn't make them bad people. I get it. I get why you would want company. That's like when you go through a breakup and maybe you're secretly hoping that one of your best friends goes through a breakup too, so that you could be single together. That kind of thing. It's a natural thing to want it, but you need to hold those thoughts captive and not wish that on your friends. So, and then the very last one is very self-explanatory, and this is a big one I learned this year. There are 3 sides to every story, not 2, 3. Your side, their side, and the unbiased truth. We are all different humans with different brains, different mentalities, different emotions, different ways of thinking, and so we are going to interpret everything that happens differently. So I'm gonna have a side, they're gonna have a side that may look nothing like my side, and then there's the unbiased truth in the middle that only God knows. And I think that that's very true, and it's just something to keep in mind. So anyway, I feel like my camera battery might start to die in a little bit, so that is all I have for you. But those were 15, 16, I didn't even count, 15, 16 things that I learned in 2023, and I can't wait to see what I learn in 2024, and I would love to hear down below what you guys learned. So if you're still awake and you're still kind of rocking with me, I'd love for you to take a few minutes and let me know something that you learned in 2023 so that we could all learn from each other